Good afternoon, Colonel Country, and welcome to another episode of Colonel's Corner. On today's episode, we'll be looking ahead to the Middle Atlantic Conference Men's Individual Tournament. Our guest today is head coach Torr Terranova. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here.
Now, before we get into the individual tournament, let's talk about you a little bit because we haven't really had a chance to introduce you to our Wilkes faithful. Can you just kind of talk to us a little bit about your coaching history and how you ended up at Wilkes?
That's a really good question. So a little bit about me is that I have been in Division I athletics for the past 8 years. And so this being my 9th year of collegiate coaching, joining the Division III ranks, which I'm very excited about. I actually got into coaching pretty much right out of undergrad. I started being an assistant for my high school coach. And after taking over my own high school team, I made a jump right from 1 year to being the assistant at the Division I program at the University of Hartford, where I was the assistant for the men's and women's programs for 2 years. And then I took the helm and was the head coach for 3 years at the University of Hartford. From there, I transitioned to being the men's assistant at Quinnipiac University. And after 2 years there, I can happily say that I'm here. And a big reason why I think Wilkes was on my radar was that sense of community. A big piece of my undergraduate experience at St. Michael's College had to do with community and had to do with community service and having to do with that type of family atmosphere. And that really attracted me to Wilkes, as well as you see someone, as a lot of the coaching staff here has been a part of this university and a part of this athletic staff for close to a decade, if not 2 decades. That's a big thing for me and my wife. We want to build roots. We want to be a part of a community. We don't want this to be a puddle jump necessarily. We want to come in long term and really try to be a part of this community.
Now, Coach, you take over 2 teams that have essentially dominated the MAC for the last decade or so. Can you just kind of give us a little insight onto what we can expect as your era begins?
I think it's a really good question. I think anyone coming into a system and a setting like this one would be foolish to, quote unquote, make all the changes in the world. And I really think that we're going to have to make changes, and we're going to have to make some growths and maybe change how high our ceiling can be by looking at our overall competition, looking at how we recruit, looking at how we practice, looking at how we train. And from there, probably in the spring, making a more defined 5-year plan. Right out of the gate, thinking about how well these guys have done and ladies have done, but also thinking about the competition in the conference at the same time. I think by increasing our non-conference schedule, trying to increase some more fall tournaments, would that add a little bit more depth, for example, and we're going to be able to then grow our platform and our players in that direction, because we currently go to the NCAAs and the goal is to forget NCAAs. The goal is to win NCAAs. The goal is not to participate.
Now let's look ahead to the MAC individual tournament this weekend. We know you've had very limited practice time, but what have you seen from the men as you head into this weekend?
So first and foremost, all the men are going to play this weekend. I think it's really important for any new coaching staff to be able to evaluate all their players. And so under the constraints of the MAC tournament, we as a coaching staff have found a way for all 12 of our men's players to be involved in the MAC tournament, whether it's just playing singles, just playing doubles, or maybe playing singles and doubles. So I'm really excited to watch every one of my kids compete, because I think that's going to give this staff and the players the most data about the fall, especially with how rain-filled the fall has been across the Northeast. I think having them all have the opportunity to play is very important, not only for them, but also for us as a coaching staff to be able to evaluate where we are. And we're only going to be as strong as our weakest link. So by having everyone play, we get to evaluate where that low ring on the totem pole is, and then we get to increase those ceilings.
Wilkes University men's tennis team doesn't have to travel far this weekend for the MAC individual tournament, taking place at both Kirby Park and the Ralston Athletic Complex. Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Adam.